What's the best way to use AI inside your real estate business? What's happening? J.C Agajanian here, broker associate with the Whissel Realty Group at EXP, bringing you another recap of the Monday morning mastermind that we do every week. It's put on by the Fast Forward Network, which is an amazing group of top producing agents, team owners, team leads, individual agents, and everyone in between coming together to share their knowledge about various topics, and that's what we do every week. So today we're hitting 3 great topics, questions submitted by other members of the group. One of them involving AI. What tools are you using to take advantage of the new artificial intelligence boom? Is there a strategy you've got behind it? So that's the first topic that we covered. The second one is surrounding the concept of just basically how hard it is for buyers right now. Like, what alternative finance options or strategies are you using for buyers who maybe don't have a huge down payment or don't have the strongest loan file and are getting beat out by other buyers? Finally, we're going to talk a little bit more about community events and the standard operating procedures that surround them. So let's get into the first one, AI tools and strategy. Well, first things first, we need to take a look at any sort of tech stack that you're already using and make sure that there aren't any options that you can opt into to take advantage of the AI already. So the example I can give you is that we use a company called Whissel for the consumer-facing side of our website on the search front. So we have a different CRM that helps us on the back end, but on the front side, we've got a different company called Whissel that helps engage with the buyers, right? So it presents the properties just like any other IDX website will, but it's got lots of intuitive tools on the back end. One of them is a robot that will text for you. This is clearly an AI play, and we're taking advantage of it. The thing will literally carry on conversations that seem very genuine, and it's basically AI texting with your client until they're ready to pick up the phone and talk to an agent. So opt into stuff that you might have access to already is an obvious first place to start. There's some other obvious options that you've probably thought of already on their own to take advantage of Bard or ChatGPT, primarily surrounding the writing of things, right? So email, newsletters, or just content that you're overly concerned about, not just in the run-of-the-mill email, social media content, property descriptions, etc. These are all just things that, AI just makes your life easier, right? So, the big thing with using Bard or ChatGPT to help you write property descriptions or social media content or anything else, email newsletters, is that you have got to edit this thing 100% of the time before you send it out, right? Before you make the post, you send the email, you upload the listing into the MLS. This content has got to sound like it's coming from your voice. I say this because anybody that has played around with any of these tools for, call it 10, 15 minutes, will easily be able to call out some text that is clearly written by AI at first glance. I've done it myself. I've looked through listings, but I have looked through listings and gone, wow, that's an obvious ChatGPT property description. So nothing wrong with using these tools, but you can't just set it and forget it. You've got to at least take a few minutes, go through, edit it, make sure it sounds like something you would say. Think of this as a first draft that always is going to need editing because it's just poor form to just put it out there and it doesn't look good. So keep that in mind. For video production, there's actually a site called opus.pro, and they have a tool called Opus Clip. And this is something I hadn't heard of before, but it's really cool sounding. So basically the idea is that it will be helpful for you in taking a regular video like this one I'm recording today, and it will automatically chop it up into shorts, and it will pull out segments of this longer video that it believes are the most important parts, and it will make short clips, and it'll even throw captions on there for you. Don't know if it's free, if it costs money. I can't imagine it being free for all these features. But if you're getting into video and you want to take advantage of the effort you are putting in to make a clip, making shorts on TikTok or YouTube Shorts or in Instagram Reels, which you should be doing, Opus Clip seems like a great option. I haven't used it myself, can't weigh in on it, but it did come highly recommended. So another cool tool that someone told us about this morning was one called BeHuman.ai. And this thing is kind of mind-blowing. It's kind of one of those things that you hear about AI and you're like, I can't believe this is even real, but this is 2023 and this is the life we're living right now. So basically it's going to allow you to send personalized videos at scale. So you can literally record one clip saying something that you want to say to a bunch of people. I don't know what the case may be. Hey, I've got this amazing property. Seems like it might be a perfect fit for you and your family. Let me know if you're interested. It's, in this part of town with this size and whatever, blah, blah, blah. So you can record that clip and you can send it just to Joe that you had in mind, or you can send it to a whole list of people, and BeHuman will literally change your mouth and change your words to match the name of the next person in the list and fling it off to everybody. I don't know how it works. It's crazy, but this is something that BeHuman.ai can do for you. I heard about this morning and just kind of, a mind blower. So it actually looks like you're the one saying that different person's name in every different clip, and it sends out automatically. It's something that you'll probably have to call automagically because it's just insane. We'll move on to the next topic, which is creating, either alternative financing options for lower down payment buyers or just creative strategies to help get wins for these buyers who are getting beat out all the time, right? So the main issue is these buyers losing out kind of because of a lack of strong loan files, right? Or big down payment, or maybe other terms. So the first thing we kind of talked about was some of these terms that you can help them before we even talk about the loans. So you can always waive loan approval contingency. You can waive the appraisal contingency. And if you want to, you can kind of set yourself up and explain to your client that we've still got this home inspection contingency in place that we could use as a strategy to exit the contract if we have a problem on one of these other fronts. This is particularly helpful when that physical inspection contingency is long enough for you to get a rushed appraisal in before that home inspection contingency is up, meaning you can get the timelines lined up so that if you do have problems over here, you can deal with it over here. Waiving contingencies is obviously going to make your offer look stronger. But as you know, in this market, a lot of times that's not quite good enough. It helps, but won't necessarily get you over the finish line. So what else we could do? Well, you could offer to cover some of the seller's fees that they would typically handle on a regular basis. Maybe something like their transfer taxes or the title or escrow or things like that. That's definitely going to go in a good direction for your buyer. Your buyer may or may not have the money to cover that, though, if they've got a tight down payment. So kind of something to consider. This is a great one that I think catches a lot of sellers' attention, which is the concept of making all, half, or just some portion of that earnest money deposit completely non-refundable. Make it go hard upon acceptance and tell them, send the transfer. Escrow, take the money, give it to the seller. This is theirs. I mean, that is something that really catches their eye because they know that even if nothing works out with this buyer, well, at least I'm getting that money. It's not coming back to them, that's for sure. So that is something to catch their eye as well. We'll take a moment and talk about mindset, direction, kind of coaching, if you will. We want to coach these clients that we're working with that maybe don't have the best profile. They're not coming in with all cash or whatever, to shop below their max. Because we know in this market, homes are going to sell higher than the list price. Not every single time, but a lot of times. So if they're shopping right up to that budget where they can't really afford anything more, they're going to get heartbroken when that property goes 20, 50, 75K over asking, and they don't really have the horsepower to compete at that level. So shopping below their max budget is a huge benefit to them. It can create problems because a lot of times people are, I feel like the majority of the time, people are looking to get all of their wants and needs in below their budget in an area that they can barely put that puzzle together. It happens from time to time. So it's just a matter of a conversation and coaching and trying to steer the actual shopping process in the right direction. So another kind of psychological part of working with your buyers is the concept of making sure that the offer you ultimately write, especially if it's one that they really feel strongly about, has got to be so strong that they're almost uncomfortable even submitting it. But if it is that strong, and if they do kind of feel on edge about it, it will also mean that if they lose out, they're not going to feel that buyer's remorse because they know they left it out all there. They went for it. They went hard. They put the best thing they got together out. And it'll still be disappointing for them if they don't win. But at least they won't feel like, oh, well, I could have asked for another 5 or 10 grand from my parents, or I could have done this or that, or I could kind of stomach a little bit of a higher payment. All that's gone. When they really go strong, if they lose out, they're not going to be happy about it, but they'll be content because they knew they gave it everything they had. But if they win, they're going to be super pleased. And to be honest with you, if they do win that contract, it's very likely that it's going to be in a very tight and competitive situation. They may have only won by 5 grand or something like that. That happens regularly. So in the event that they win, they're going to appreciate you pushing them to go as strong as they possibly could in order to get that contract locked down. So keep that in mind as well. When it comes to reaching out to the listing agents, it's a bit of a balance, right? Because we really need to find that sweet spot in consistent, helpful communication with that listing agent, but we also need to be careful not to annoy them, basically. So we gotta really work on building that relationship in short order. So it's kind of like speed dating type of thing. We want to be appealing, interesting, helpful, but not annoying and a turnoff. So walk that line and figure it out. If you've never spoken to this agent before, a great way to help kind of speed that process up to understanding each other and getting to know each other better is simply with video. Video goes a long way. You can just make a quick selfie video. Just say, hey, we've never worked together before. This is who I am. This is kind of my history in the business. You seem like you really know what you're doing. I would love to be able to put this thing together and work on this property with you. Something doesn't have to be like, it could be any number of talking points, but the concept is you've gone out of your way to personalize yourself, to humanize yourself, to make sure that they know that you're serious about getting this buyer this property and that your buyer is serious and that they really want it. Because that's another thing that goes a long way when dealing with listing agents is the understanding of who really wants it. I've had this conversation with sellers plenty of times, and I've sat down with them and I said, look, a lot of these terms are really tight. This person has called me 10 times. They seem to be in love with this property. I feel like if anything happens, if the appraisal's short, if we get surprised with the home inspection, if there's issues with this buyer's loan, whatever the case, this person over here, they seem like they're going to just hurdle those obstacles no matter what because they want this home. I have no idea about this person, or this person. I've literally had that conversation with sellers before. So keeping that in mind when you're working with the buyer is hugely important to just communicate the level of seriousness and intensity that your buyers feel towards the property. On that point of getting to know a listing agent better and really trying to humanize yourself, the concept of triangulation. This is one of the first things I learned when joining the Whissel group, which is to really broaden my personal network and take advantage of the friends and colleagues I have in the business already. So if you've got a listing agent that you don't know and you are doing all you can, you're calling them, you've sent that video, you're trying to befriend the person, you should reach out and at least do a quick Facebook search or Instagram search. Who what friends do you have in common? And can you reach out to any of those friends and say, hey, do you think you could put a word in for me? Let them know that I'm a professional, that I get my files closed, that we don't mess around, and then I would love to get my buyer into this property for them. Or you reach out to anyone in your office. If you have a big team like we do, you should use the internal messaging board. Who knows this agent? Who has done a deal with this agent? Who's friends with this agent? Who can help me get closer with this agent? It's a lot of extra work, but it pays off. And I'm telling you, if you're able to make a connection through a mutual friend, it's a game changer in the negotiation and the information that person is willing to release. Sometimes people don't even want to answer their phone, and just getting that connection to have that regular conversation like normal people instead of the listing agent being on defense trying to avoid the onslaught of all the buyer's agents calling in. I'm telling you, it makes a big difference. So definitely use the triangulation method and figure out who you know that knows them and ask for a favor and make that connection. All of these are fantastic ideas, but I personally think the biggest solution to the problem brought up by the member of the Fast Forward movement this morning, which is dealing with people with less than strong loan files and and being beat out by better buyers, frankly, is taking advantage of one of the companies that works in your market that will turn your finance buyer into a cash buyer. The company that we use all the time here in San Diego is called HomeLight. They work in the majority of the country, but not in every state. So you'll have to look into it for yourself. And they do have competitors that offer similar products. But basically what HomeLight can do for you is take your finance buyer. They've got to have a minimum of 5% down, but they can take your finance buyer and literally turn them into cash buyer using their own funds. Then they turn around and they refinance, or actually it's really a purchase money loan that they do post-closing, because with this cash close, they're going to wrap this thing up in 10 days. So you're going to win. You're going to have the best terms. It's a cash deal. You're going to have it done in 10 days. There's no way anybody else is going to have better terms than you. And then you just deal with the financing after the fact. It's not even an issue for your seller. This is a phenomenal product. And if timing is not that crucial for that seller, they also have a product that enables you to write a cash offer with a 21-day close. And what they do in that situation is they backstop the offer, so it is truly a cash offer, but there's an option for you to go in and close with financing instead. And they hurry up and rush through a loan inside that 21 days. So they don't even use their money in that situation. And because of that, there's no fee. The first option does come with a 1% fee. So it's well worth it though. And I can't think of a better way to take a less than strong buyer and turn them into the absolute strongest buyer you could possibly have, which is a cash close 10 days or less. I mean, it's phenomenal. So look into that. If you don't already have a relationship with somebody in that company, you can feel free to reach out right here. And I'd be happy to see if we can connect you. They don't work with every team, but I'd be happy to make an introduction. Moving on to the community events standard operating procedure. Well, we do a lot of community events here at the Whissel Group. We have 4 quarterly events that we do every year, and they are always big to-dos. I also have smaller events that I do on my own that are separate from the company events. We are always reaching out to the people that we are friends with, the people we've worked with in the past, just anyone we have in our sphere of influence, and we want to just give back all the time. And so the first things first, as far as SOPs go on the community events, is to remember that it's not about the community event. I've said this a million times, I'll say it again. This is not about the event at all. This is about the calls, the texts, the email, the snail mail that is all going out in effort to invite people to these events. It's about the conversations that are going to take place surrounding these events. If nobody shows up, we don't care. Because frankly, it's all about the effort we're putting out in advance and the phone calls, the communication, the text messages that are going to be stirred up with people that we probably haven't talked to in a while. And ultimately, there will likely be a pivot towards a real estate conversation within those natural life conversations. What's going on in your life? How are the kids? How's the career? Any vacations? You know, the forward script: family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. What are you going to do with yourself? So just stick with the simple forward script, and then without you pivoting it, they will likely ask you about what's going on with your work and how the market is going on. And all of a sudden, you're in a real estate conversation that would never have happened if you weren't having a community event. So let's keep in mind, this is the most important thing. We are offering something for free. We're not calling and asking for them to buy something. We're not calling and asking them to give us a referral of their friends and family, though it could be a great way to take the conversation if it does move in that direction. But we're just calling to ask them for, or offer them something for free and have good conversations. That's the point of these events. Now, moving on, there are a lot of things that we do. We do get a ton of people that show up to them. People love them. And there's different things that you can do to really benefit your clients and yourself, frankly, by having them. One way is raffles and prizes. You know, give decent stuff. You can give away branded stuff. You know, if it's a giveaway, if it's a raffle, and it's not like a closing gift and you've got your brand on it, that's kind of crass. But if it's something like this, yeah, a high quality tee or a tank or a hat or something like that that's got your branding on it, something people will actually wear. If it's cheap and crappy, they're not going to wear it. So think about, would you want to wear this yourself when you're giving it away? And then you can select, you know, VIPs, certain people to give away special stuff. Like one agent mentioned what he calls his gold card. And it's basically a business card, but it's plastic. It's like a credit card almost. And he's offering $1,000 credit to your closing costs with this card. And there's no strings attached. They can just give it to you and turn it in when they want to buy a house and save $1,000 on their closing costs. So we want to be a little bit sensitive to who we hand these out to. They're not going to be stuffed in a baggie, and given away to every single person that came through. But a little special gift like that could go a long way and could eventually bring you a deal that you might have forgotten about, because something like $1,000 sitting around is not likely going to hit the trash bin. That's probably going to get stashed away somewhere for when it's time for them to buy a house. You'll get the phone call. Another great tip on whether you're doing your own event or whether you're participating in like a community event that the city is putting on or something like that is to do a coloring raffle, right? So this is an event where you have, what we do is something that looks like a home, kind of a state or curbside view of elevation of a home, and they sit there and the kids color it out, and they color it with the intention to win a raffle. And what are they going to win if they win the raffle? A free bike. It's like, what? Every kid wants a free bike, and you know what? Most parents would love their kids to have a bike they didn't have to pay for as well. This is a great way to get people to stop if you are renting a booth maybe at a big event in the summertime or something like that, right? The cool thing is this coloring raffle requires the kids to stop and color it and turn it in right there. So they're going to spend 5, 10, 15 minutes coloring in that picture, and they're probably not going to stop till they're satisfied with it. So what does that mean? You've got mom and dad standing there trapped, waiting to have this great conversation about real estate because they're just waiting for that kid to finish the coloring. So it's awesome. It leads to great conversations. And you've also got a way to lead them to your Facebook page or your Instagram page, because we're going to have a vote. And usually at our company, we do that on the Facebook page so people can vote on it. Of course, they can vote for their own kid. They can vote for others as well. And now they're targeted. They're going to see more of our content. And then when it comes time to actually give that bicycle away, we're going to make a post about it there. We're going to make sure everybody that entered sees that somebody else won that bike. It's just a great all the way around way of getting data. So you're going to have name and email for the people that entered. You're going to have them on your social. They're now going to be seeing the stuff you're posting. And all this is from making the most out of what would be just an average booth where you're trying to hope people will come by and say hi. So it's a great way to make contact with the community and give something back. So that's all of the topics we've got for today. I hope, as usual, that you found something helpful, something informative that you can actually implement into your business and not just keep up here, but move down and move out with your hands and make it happen. If you've got any questions, comments about any of this stuff, I'm happy to chat. Shoot me a message right here. I look forward to talking to you soon.